Key takeaways for me: human factors, human factors, human factors. The user experience is so important for safety, and we need to be considering human factors experts' input. They need to be involved, in my opinion, at the OEM level, at the tier 1 level. Anyone who's developing this technology needs to have those experts as part of their team, part of the design. It's so critically important. There was a lot of talk about customizing the cockpit to the individual user and how that's a form of safety, because as some people were talking about rental cars, you get into one rental car, you don't know where your buttons are, you don't know where anything is. So if you had a driver ID and you took your data with you from car to car, you are now alleviating that issue. Another one that was really interesting was if the car understands that it's in a stressful situation from its external sensing system, it can use that information to decrease any of the distractions within the cabin during that intense time for the driver. And obviously that would be really important for safety. A hot topic on the panel this afternoon was buttons. So one of the panelists said, we won't have buttons anymore, it'll be all screens. Some of the other panelists said, absolutely not, that's not safe, I need it to be in the same consistent spot every time. Things like that. Another really interesting thing that came out of that panel was Detlef from Smart Eye was talking about the gesture control. So not even touching the button, but actually just reaching, because your car is sensing your gestures, and it can use that to actually, instead of pressing a button physically, think about that in an instant emergency or situation where you need to do something really quickly, if you could just gesture with your hand to do it. And he said, you know, this isn't 10 years away. This could be 2 to 5 years away if we choose to do it, and we are the OEMs. If the OEMs choose to do this. This is a really important point because it highlights how important the conversations are right now. These things are being chosen and decided right now, and so we need everybody in the in-cabin community to start getting involved, get their voices heard, get engaged in the conversations, because we need to know all of the options so we can be making the best decisions. One final comment, we had DTS Xperi, Addie from DTS Xperi, presenting with Greg Pegman, who is from Hollywood, and he works on a show called The Peripheral. He talked about having to consider things that don't exist yet. How are they going to be? And then they have to create how that looks. And that's what we're doing. And so he kind of talked through how you do that, and that was such an interesting topic. That keynote was followed by this panel kind of summarizing all of the big interesting things about user experience. And one of the panelists said there are some really interesting concepts, some from the last 30 minutes. Think about that. That is such a critical component. That's how fast things are moving, how fast ideas can happen, how fast connections, partnerships, ideas can be made, and in-cabin is now. Cockpit technologies are now, and we have to be dedicating resources, teams, hiring up, and getting those human factors people involved. We had so many submissions to our call for papers for in-cabin specific topics that it really demanded its own entire venue and forum. There was way too much content for just one track. It's also that the OEMs and Tier 1 teams that are working on in-cabin technologies are very different from the ADAS and advanced driving teams. So it's easiest for them to have everyone in one place so that they are meeting the right people who are working on exactly what they're needing to understand. And of course, regulation. We can do so much for women in technology. I love in-cabin because I see way more women involved in in-cabin than any other automotive sector events that I've been a part of. So how can we do it? So women, I want to hear your voices. I want to hear you talking about the technology that you're building for us. please submit to speak for InCabin, submit to speak for AutoSense, even submit to speak for other events if you want, but get your voice heard. Don't wait to be invited, don't wait for an offer, go get yourself out there, submit to speak, please, we want to hear you. Another item is, what can men do as allies? You'll always hear me talk about how men can be great allies to women, so just a quick tip, when you're in a meeting with your female colleagues, make sure you're not interrupting them, don't talk over them, don't restate their ideas, listen to them, elevate their voices. Even if you don't think they need their voice to be elevated, elevate their voice, because you can really help impact change. And ask the women around you what you can be doing. Simple as that.